Hi, Grade 2. In today's lesson, we'll continue talking about the heat energy. In the last lesson, we said that the heat energy transfers or moves from hot object to cold object. And from this, we said that we cannot live without heat energy, because if there is no heat energy, we may die from the cold. That's why the heat energy is one of the most important types of energy that we cannot live without. Then we've known that the sources of heat energy, which are the sun, the fire, and friction. As I said that when we stand in a sunny place, we feel hot because the sun gives us heat energy. And when we rub our hands together, we feel hot because friction gives us a lot of heat energy. Also, the fire, it's very hot because it gives us heat energy. That's why we use the fire to cook the food. And then we said that is heat transferred from the hot objects to the cold objects. As you can see in the picture, that the heat energy from the fire transfers to the cooking pot so that it can cook the food. And in this, the heat energy transfers from your hand to the cube of ice and it melts. In today's lesson, we need to know the types of the heat conductors. We have two types of heat conductors. What are they? The first one is good conductors of heat. One more time. Good conductors of heat. What are the good conductors of heat? They are the things or the materials that transfer heat very well, which means that they are the things that allow the heat to move through them and then they become hot. Again, good conductors of heat, they are materials that transfer heat energy very well, which means that they allow the heat energy to move through them and then they become hot. Like what? Like the iron, copper, and aluminum. Again, iron, copper, and aluminum are good conductors of heat. All of them, as you can see, they are metals. So all the metals are good conductors of heat that allow heat to move through them and become hot. As you can see in here, the cooking pan and the cooking pot. We use aluminum and copper to make the cooking pots and the cooking pans. Why? Because they are good conductors of heat. So when we put them on the stove or the fire, they become hot, so they can cook the food. The second type of conductors of heat is bad conductors of heat. Again, bad conductors of heat. What are the bad conductors of heat? From its name, it means that they are the materials that don't transfer heat energy very well, which means that they don't allow the heat energy to move through them, and then they don't become hot. So again, what are the bad conductors of heat? Repeat after me. They are materials that don't transfer heat energy very well. And one more time. They are materials that don't transfer heat energy very well. Like what? like the glass, the wood, and the plastic. So, glass, wood, and plastic, they are bad conductors of heat, which don't allow the heat to move through them, and then they don't become hot. That's why we make the handles of the cooking pots and the cooking pans from the bad conductors of heat. Why? Because they don't allow the heat to move through them and they don't become hot, so that when we touch them, we don't burn our hands. But if we made the handles of the cooking pots or the cooking pans from a good conductors of heat like iron, copper, or aluminum, what will happen if we touch them? Yes, they will burn our hand. We will feel very hot, so we cannot touch it. So, the handles of the cooking pots are made from what? From good conductors of heat or from bad conductors of heat? Think of it. We make the handles of the cooking pots from bad conductors of heat, like wood or plastic. Why? Because they don't allow the heat to move through them. So when we touch them, we won't burn our hand. So now we know that the cooking pots and the cooking pans are made from good conductors of heat, like aluminum and copper. Why? Because they transfer heat energy very well, so they will become hot and cook the food. But the handles of the cooking pots and the cooking pans are made from bad conductors of heat. Why? Because they don't allow the heat to move through them, so they won't become hot, and when I touch them, I won't burn my hand. That was the end of the lesson of the heat energy. I hope you understand it.